Hello and welcome to CTN's Happy Tales. I'm your host, Melissa Bondy. Happy Tales features rescues, organizations, and individuals who volunteer their time helping animals. Today we welcome Colleen O'Brien, owner of the Blue Dog Counseling and the facilitator of the Humane Society of Huron Valley's Pet Grief and Loss Support Group, and Amelia Rodgers, Humane Education Manager at the HSHV, and Benedetto, who is here also with us, and we'll talk about him in a little while. Welcome, ladies, to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Amelia, we'll open up with you. Humane Education. Give us a brief overview and tell us what you do and what that is.
Yeah, so humane education is teaching people about our connection with other humans, our connection with animals, and with our planet, with the goal being to promote empathy and compassion for all living things. And at the Humane Society, we do humane education programs, mostly for youth, but we do adult programs as well. And we teach about animal welfare topics, and we do that with inviting people to come visit our Humane Society. And then we also do presentations and programs at other locations as well.
Okay, so when you say, I think at humane education, when you say the age, the range, so is it geared more toward the younger? Or is it across the board? Because I kind of heard you say that was...
Yeah, so we've done presentations for adult groups as well, but the vast majority of our humane education programming is for youth, primarily between the ages of about 2 to 17.
Okay, so how popular is that? And what are some of the facts and figures and numbers in that range?
Well, we have about just under 500 junior volunteers right now. Okay. And those are youth between the ages of 12 and 17 who come in and help comfort our animals. They help with some cleaning duties at the shelter as well, feed some of the animals, and make some toys or treats for our shelter animals too. And our junior volunteer program, every month we set up registration. It sells out in a few minutes, so that program is really popular. Okay. We also do summer camp each summer. Okay. That's probably one of our most popular programs as well, and that's for youth between the ages of 6 to 11. And our camp program is really popular. We have kids that come back every year.
Okay. How long is the camp?
So it goes for Monday through Friday, and it's from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And during the camp, youth will get to do things like learn about animals, have some hands-on animal interaction time. We also do a volunteer type activity each day, so they might make some toys to pass out to the shelter animals or help feed some of usually we do the cat feeding for the shelter. So they're able to help out a little bit too, and then learn about animals while they're there as well.
So do you find a lot of adoptions out of the camps or the education program?
I'd say most kids who come to camp hope that it results in adoption. Right. Sometimes we have families that send their children to camp because they want them to learn some more skills about animal care. Okay. So it could kind of hopefully lead to them eventually being able to adopt an animal. Okay. Other times people come to camp because they are planning on adopting. Okay. So it's kind of a way for their child to get some time with the animals, and then they go through and visit animals each day after camp is over. So it does result in adoption. Sometimes we are very careful to tell the youth attending our camp that just because they're there at camp and they fall in love with the animal doesn't mean that they may get to adopt it, because it does need to be a decision made by the whole family.
Okay. I would feel like that might be, that's like well, parents know going into it when they're sending their
hopefully
children.
It doesn't turn anyone away.
Right. Yeah. Are these offered in the summer or year round?
We do our camps, we usually follow the Ann Arbor Public School schedule, so we do camps during the summer. Okay. We also have a spring break camp coming up. That's the first week of April. We do winter break camps and some single day camps for holidays that schools are closed.
Okay. Are there fees for the camps?
Yes, and all the fees do go back towards the mission of the Humane Society of Huron Valley, but the summer camp is $285 for the week. And then we are also starting a camp at our new location, Tiny Lions Lounge and Adoption Center.
Okay.
We call it Camp Purrs because Tiny Lions is a cat-only
Right.
adoption facility where there's about 20 free-roaming cats. And so we're doing half-day camps there for a little bit older age group. It's from 9 to 17-year-olds. And depending on the week they sign up, we're offering animal science camps and animal photography camps over there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. And well, just real brief, what do those camps, what does it consist of?
So the photography camp, we're going to have a photographer come in and teach about how to photograph animals. Youth will bring their own camera, so it could be the iPhone. That's what most people take pictures with these days.
Right.
And they'll learn how, some techniques for capturing good photos of your pets or just animals in general, and they'll get some practice doing that too. And then our animal science camp will be teaching youth about some science topics. We get a lot of youth that come to our camp who want to be veterinarians when they grow up. So this camp will kind of give you some of the science background about animals.
Oh my gosh, okay. Yeah. And are you seeing students, enrollees from Washtenaw, further, Ann Arbor? Like, what's the demographic there?
I'd say it's mostly the Washtenaw area, but we had one camper in particular who moved to Toledo, and she loved camp so much that her parents drove her back every day for a camp the following year after they had moved. So we have people come from relatively far away sometimes, but I'd say it's mostly local.
Okay. Is this program or programs of these camps, are they well known in the schools here in the Ann Arbor?
I think so, and our camps fill every summer,
Okay.
and a lot of it is through word of mouth from
Sure.
campers that have been there before. We used to go to some like off-site camp expos to get the word out about our camps, but the word is out now, so
Okay.
it's a pretty popular program, and we're excited to start the new camp over at Tiny Lions this year.
Okay. When is that starting?
It starts, again, it goes with the Ann Arbor Public Schools schedule.
Okay.
Our camps at the Humane Society will start on June 19th.
Okay.
And then we could check the website for the dates for the Tiny Lions camp.
Okay. And any success stories? I know we just talked, I asked you about the, as far as kids, coming out of these with an animal. Anything in particular you could mention real briefly?
So one of my favorite stories has to do with an off-site presentation that we did at a high school. So we do often go into classrooms too to present humane education topics. And we were at a high school and there was 2 back-to-back presentations. And our staff member had a dog there with her. And in between presentations, she went to take the dog outside because she thought he might need to go to the bathroom. Well, she didn't make it all the way outside, and he had an accident in the hallway. And the custodian came to help and fell in love with the dog. And she was not able to adopt, but she had a son who was an adult and had his own home. And the very next day, the 2 of them came in, and her son adopted the dog. So it was a pretty happy story, especially if she still liked the dog after having to clean up after him.
The custodian.
Yes.
Yeah. What? Okay. That's so cute.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a great story. Well, good. Tell us who we have today and a little bit about his story.
Yeah, so this is Benedetto. Let me see if I can get him to look up so you can get a look at how cute he is. There you go, you heard the treats. So this is Benedetto, and he is an 11-year-old pit bull terrier. Okay. He came to us as a stray on January 2nd. And when he came to us, he had some eye issues that we tried to treat, and they weren't getting better. He was on pain medication. So our veterinary team decided that it would be in Benedetto's best interest if he had his eye removed. So he just had surgery to remove his left eye, and so it's stitched now, and he is just as happy and easygoing as ever. He quickly became a staff favorite. He is extremely spoiled. He gets to work with a lot of our youth programming. He's very comfortable meeting new people and going to new places. So he's a very popular guy at the Humane Society. He is up for adoption now, so hopefully he gets adopted soon. What are you looking at?
So if folks are interested in learning more, then they visit the website of the Humane Society.
Yep.
Or call, or
You can call or visit hshv.org.
Okay.
More information about Benedetto will be on there on the website, and then you can also call if you have any other questions about him.
Is he being camera shy?
I guess so. Can you sit?
He's been a sweet dog.
Can you look at the camera?
So when he came to you, can I ask how he came as a stray?
He came as a stray, yeah.
So someone found him and brought him, or how did someone?
That's typically how it works,
story?
is that somebody just sees a dog around, and then they, a Good Samaritan will bring them into the Humane Society, and we keep them for a certain amount of days to give their previous owner a chance to come claim them, and unfortunately nobody came for Benedetto, so he's up for adoption now, and he's looking for a new home.
Okay.
He's very sweet and loving, and he knows a few tricks too, so he's lived in a home before. He loves sleeping on the couch.
So so yeah, he came from a home.
Yeah,
so
it seems like he's used to being spoiled. So.
Okay. And do you know how he does yet, or probably, with other animals and kids?
So I know that he works with our youth programs, and he's met kids through those programs, and he's usually has the same kind of demeanor that he has right now, just kind of hangs out.
Yeah.
But if anyone is interested in adopting him, they can call our adoption desk, and they'd be able to give you more information about his history, and as far as if he gets along with other dogs or things like that.
Okay. Was there any particular reason you brought him today? I know he's a staff favorite, so I'm sort of kind of surprised. I feel like they may want to keep him.
Actually, I had to check with one of our staff members, and I said, "Are you going to adopt him? Because if you do, I'll take a different dog." And she said, "Oh no, he'd love to go." So I chose him because I knew that he would do this. He'd probably just lay down and love the attention. So he's pretty calm and laid back. This is typical Benedetto here. So he's 11 years old, so he is kind of a sweet old man.
Do you know the lifespan of this breed? Like usually?
Just approximately, I'd say about 16 years, but it could obviously be more or less. And coming in as a stray, his age is just kind of an estimate based on our veterinarian's best guess.
Okay. So when will the stitches? Are they going to be taken out, dissolvable? How does it work?
I'm not sure if they use dissolvable stitches or not, but his surgery, it looks like they might be the dissolvable kind. His surgery was just last week, so hopefully he'll be all healed up soon, and he's doing really well.
Good. Okay, good, wonderful. So anything else to touch on the humane education portion that we might not have covered? It seems I didn't realize how extensive it was. And the age range that it reaches. It's very impressive.
We do offer lots of different programs targeted at specific ages. So we have a story time program that's for 2 to 5-year-olds. So we kind of include the younger kids as well. And then most of our programs are for about the 6 to 11 age range. But we do birthday parties, pets and pajama movie nights. We have movie nights at Tiny Lions as well.
Okay.
So we have programs for just about all ages.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. And adults, separate types of programs, or can they participate? Are they completely separate?
So our family movie night at Tiny Lions, it's actually Mew-V night. Isn't that clever? That is a family program where the adults stay with their child. Oh, don't scratch your eye. Oh, that's his other eye. So that's a family program. And then other programs for adults would just be some of our off-site presentations. We offer animal care presentations, and we've gone to some local universities and other adult groups for those presentations as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You sound like you have a very busy job.
Yes.
Okay, so Colleen, I'm not leaving you out. You're next.
Sure.
So tell me about what you do with the pet loss and the grief support, and I can relate. So fill me in and tell me about Blue Dog Counseling.
Yeah. So pet grief and loss is a really big category, right? And it's one folks didn't start talking about until maybe the 80s. So it's a newer kind of facet of counseling that's being more accepted, I think, as time goes on. So pet grief and loss encompasses, and my work encompasses, working with folks who have experienced any kind of a loss of an animal that's important to them in their life. So that could also include anticipating one of those losses. That could be a pet that lives in your home with you. That could be an animal that you work with. That could be an animal that you see every day on your walk through your daily life that you build some sort of a bond with.
Okay.
It absolutely could be wild animals. What we find and what the research shows is the human animal bond is really strong, right? And it can reach us in many different ways. Often the folks that I'm working with are folks who either have a pet or have an animal that they work with that they've experienced a loss with them. And again, wide range here. So it could be anything from someone has experienced the loss of a relationship or the change of a relationship, maybe a divorce, for example, and the family pets are going to live with one member of the family, and so there's a loss there, all the way to the death of a pet, or a pet being literally lost in the world. So the family not knowing where that pet is, not being able to find them, and then trying to figure out how do they move forward from that experience. So folks come to counseling for all of those reasons, and also come to the Humane Society support group for all of those reasons.
Okay. Which you offer the two.
Yes.
At the Humane Society and then privately.
Absolutely. So the third Sunday of every month is when the Humane Society Pet Grief and Loss Support Group meets. So we have all the information is on the hshv.org website.
Okay.
And we do here and there have to change the day of the month we meet, but we've been meeting for 6 years. It's the third Sunday of the month from 1 to 2:30, and the whole community is welcome. So it's really focused for anyone who's experiencing the loss of an animal in their lives.
Okay.
We don't put a boundary on what that looks like. We're really looking to support folks who identify that loss themselves.
Okay.
All ages are welcome. I would say typically we have adults come to the group, and the group is anywhere typically from about 5 to maybe 15 people, and it's a safe opportunity to share what's going on. So I'm the facilitator. I definitely get it going. I let folks know how we're going to keep that space safe for them to share, and then everybody has the opportunity to share or to pass. Sometimes folks are most supported by coming and listening to the stories of others.
Sure.
Sometimes they want to share what's going on, and sometimes they don't know when they walk in the door. So they decide that when they get there.
Okay.
So that group space is really cool because it allows you to meet some other people. And I think one of the things about pet loss is it's very isolating. People respond to you when you're grieving the loss of a pet in many different ways. And so being able to be with folks that have shared their own version of that experience, folks report that that can be really comforting.
Okay. So you have, one of the questions you had was, do animals grieve as well? Which I got asked that a lot when my one dog passed, and we have another. And they said, how's he doing? How's this, that?
Sure.
He wasn't, because they weren't bonded or together. They weren't friends. But I hear so many people had asked me that. So that must be a common question.
It is a common question. And I think it's exactly what you said. Just like with people, we're bonded in different ways. And so certain animals will behave in a certain way when they experience a loss. And other animals will behave very, very differently. And so what we know is in 2012, there was the Cambridge Declaration of Compassion in Non-Human Animals. So these scientists got together internationally and said, hey, we have enough research now and we've done our due diligence, and what we can say is that animals experience life in real time just like people do, and that means they experience emotions in real time. And so they are impacted by life events as people are, and they respond as people do. And so the answer is yes. And I think I work with a large number of veterinary teams and professional pet sitters, folks working with animals around compassion fatigue and around the work that they do and the loss that they experience in their line of work. And I think anyone that works with animals typically says, absolutely yes, we've noticed that in some animals. So, yeah.
Okay. So another question. Recently I saw a poster for a missing turtle on the road. Someone posted it out, and they're missing their turtle.
Right.
Do you get animals such as that, those types of animals that people come and they're grieving the loss of smaller, I don't know, a hamster or what, the different types of animals other than a cat, dog?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think often we talk about cats and dogs when we talk about pets, right? But I think your question is so important because we talk to folks in group who have experienced maybe the loss of a ferret. A lot of folks that come to the Humane Society group, they have adopted their pets from the Humane Society, or they take part in humane education, or they know. One thing we were talking about earlier is how comprehensive the Humane Society's services are. And so folks have come in a lot of different ways, and often have a lot of different pets. Farm animals, a lot of folks are coming to talk about their farm animals or horses that they've had for 20 years. Birds, a lot of parrots are, and I'm not suggesting that lifespan it makes a difference to your bond, but I've talked to people who have had a parrot for 25 years. That parrot they've had longer than any of their human relationships. And so they're navigating that loss. And also, yes, hedgehogs, hamsters, fish, turtles.
Okay.
Wild animals. I've talked to several people maybe who had a herd of deer living in their backyard for many years, and they got very used to seeing these same animals. I know someone who is very bonded to a chipmunk that lives in their yard and feeds them and looks for them, and they've been there for years, and they can tell it's the same chipmunk, and they take pictures of it, and have talked about the anticipatory loss, and that there really isn't a space for them to talk about that without people saying, a chipmunk, what? But
judging them.
they've, judging them, but they've made a relationship with this other living being and have empathy for them.
Okay. Do you, how large is your counseling, like,
Sure.
what's the volume of people who see you, who are willing to reach out and talk about this?
Absolutely. Such a good question. For the last 9 years, it's been pretty consistently any space I have open I can fill. So there's a huge demand. I would say at any given time, maybe I'm seeing about 20 clients, but of course, folks come in really different rotations. So maybe someone comes once a month when they're in town. That's the other thing. Logistically, having this service at the Humane Society is so key, because you would go to East Lansing before you would find another group like this, or maybe the Farmington Hills area has a group that meets sometimes. And there are very, very few other groups in the state or even in the neighboring state areas. So it's not uncommon that we get folks coming from Indiana and Ohio for the Humane Society group driving up specifically, or driving from farther upstate to come and meet with us on a Sunday because they have not found that kind of support group in other places, or aren't looking for an online support group. Those are certainly available too.
Okay, online versus in person. You can do, Is that more like a chat board?
Exactly.
And they're chatting, and
more
they're
like a
having
chat
people
room.
that they can relate to and pose questions. Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, because I can relate on different levels of that, but I didn't think of going to talk to someone about it.
It's not something we talk a lot about in society, right? And I think folks are often used to someone saying, oh gosh, you're still upset about whatever happened, right? You're still upset about your dog. You're still crying. You don't seem to be getting over this. When are you going to get another pet? We have a lot of these questions. So folks come to group or come into counseling and talk about that, talk about how challenging it is to feel like maybe you're doing it wrong, or there's something wrong with you. I hear the two biggest questions I hear are, am I crazy, and when will I feel better? And so folks are just really struggling to figure out how their process fits into the overall world. And I guess I think the biggest thing to say that we've learned from group in these experiences is that everyone's doing it their own way, and that's okay. That there's no specific way, there's no specific timeline, but getting support is really key so that you're not going through it by yourself.
Okay. So how did you get into this?
Yeah, right?
How did you like
That's a good question. I grew up in a family with pets and loving animals, and was always the don't tell me the bad animal story person, always, which is ironic now, because I hear a lot of really intense stories and share a lot of intense experiences with people as they recount them. But what happened is I have spent a lot of time working with young people and young people who have experienced a lot of loss, and am an animal lover, and always have looked for ways to connect with animals, and then had my own pet loss about 10 years ago that really changed everything and was more challenging than I ever could have anticipated, even though I knew it would be horrible. It was unexpected and health related. And then after a couple years after that, I said, gosh, we don't create space in our community for this conversation. And I was lucky enough to know Tanya, the director at the Humane Society, and be able to approach her and say, hey, I've gotten some advanced training in this area. Could we put something together? And she was so welcoming and so supportive. And we literally started about a month later and haven't looked back. So that's how I got started.
So do people are they Googling pet loss, or are they calling the Humane Society saying, do you have anyone that can help me? I need. Where does the inquiries come from?
Yes, you're right on. Both of those things happen. So folks Google, so that's a big thing. Folks definitely call the Humane Society. Amelia and the staff there are amazing at finding people and acknowledging and being empathetic and saying, wow, you've got a loss going on here. Hey, we have the service we can provide to you. Word of mouth is huge, and also animal care professionals, once they have that information, they're able to pass that on to their diverse clientele in the area, and then a lot of times folks follow up on those resources.
Okay. Okay, so real quick, something else I was thinking about when we were talking was, I find it interesting that a lot of folks that I've heard over the years, friends of mine, won't watch movies where animals die.
Yes, ma'am.
I can, and I have.
Yeah.
So that I don't think I'm any more morbid, you know, like because I can, but I find that people be like, oh, I can't even think of the one right now, but there's a
Marley and Me.
Marley and Me,
that
yes.
one. And I think to myself, I have so many friends that won't watch it because of that. But I know I watched it, and it was a good movie.
Sure.
But that's something that just kind of triggered my mind. Like, there are people who are so, I can't watch a movie where a dog dies or a cat, you know. And I can empathize with it, but I don't.
It doesn't impact you the exact same way, right?
Exactly. So it's interesting that.
It is, and I think we see that and we hear that. When I was growing up, it was the book Where the Red Fern Grows, and that turned into a movie, and I knew a whole group of people who were like, oh, I can't possibly watch that, right?
Yes.
And I think it's our pure connection with animals and our love for them, and not wanting to see them struggle or suffer. For some people, that's too big of an emotional pool to dive into. And for other folks, they're able to say, yeah, it is a huge emotional pool, and I can watch that and I can put that in its place. So it speaks to how different we all are, right? No wonder everyone has a different timeline for grieving, and it impacts everyone differently if like movies do and other experiences do. So yeah, I think we just chalk it up to everyone's very individual, and what works for one of us might not work for the other, right?
Right, and I don't, and then I guess my point is, I don't think I'm any less empathetic or sympathetic because.
Absolutely not. I would agree with that, and the research would support that and say that the ability to tolerate a certain stimulus, I think is what the scientists would say, is not directly related to our empathy level at all. And in fact, right, it may be a way that we exercise empathy to be able to watch that movie and say, gosh, I can put myself in that place and I can imagine how hard that is. And because I can, I watch it. In the same, the same movie, someone could say all of those same things, and that's why I don't watch it. So yeah, I don't think it speaks to empathy or sympathy one single bit.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you both. Yeah, it's a great point to leave on. Thank you both for coming on the show. Hopefully, something can happen. Best of luck with it. Maybe we get some calls. So again, thank you. Wonderful information today, as always. So I appreciate you both coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, well, that's it for this episode of Happy Tales. For more information on the Blue Dog Counseling, you can visit them at bluedogcounseling.com, or you can email or call 734-635-0872. And if you would like more information regarding the humane education at the Humane Society, you can email them as well, or you can call them. They're always love to hear from you. And again, we here at CTN would love to hear from you, our viewers, and you can talk to us on Twitter. Find us on Facebook at CTN Ann Arbor. And please join us right here next time on Happy Tales. Thank you.